In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 things that you as a seller need to be on the lookout for to avoid getting scammed or getting the short end of the stick when selling to an investor. That's right, we're going to cover a quick story on one of our clients that came to us after getting the short end of the stick and how we help them ultimately spot a good deal when selling to an investor. So we had a seller reach out to us on our website at one point, and they had tried to sell their property. They were living in the property. They packed up and moved because they got this deal. It was signed in writing. The contract was there. They were out of their option period. That means it's done deal, right? They can move. The buyer, unfortunately, did not pull through. It was an investor buyer, and they didn't know where to go. So they reached out to us. We were able to help them find a way forward. We actually found another investor that was able to buy that house and move forward. But there's several things that they could have spotted when reviewing the offer or talking to that seller that would have avoided the situation entirely, saved them a lot of money, a lot less time with the house vacant and dealing with issues with that, of course, as well. So this is what we're going to cover today, the 5 things that you as a seller need to know and understand when reviewing a contract or reviewing an offer from an investor. Number 1 is understanding the as-is sale. What is selling as is, and ultimately the price impact that goes along with that when selling to an investor. At the end of the day, any investor has to make money, and it has to pan out somehow. Either A, they're going to flip your property and sell it to another person in 3 to 6 months, or B, they're going to rent it out to somebody and make money from the cash flow. So you should be able to run numbers and say, okay, with their offer price, and with rents in my market, does it cash flow if they put 20% down? If not, then there's a lower chance and likelihood that they will actually close, right? On the flip side, if they're flipping, not only do they have to cover repairs, but they also have holding costs. They're gonna have utilities, taxes, insurance. They're gonna have realtor fees when they sell that property and commissions to pay and title and insurance and all that kind of stuff as well that you're experiencing on the sale. They're gonna have that on the back end, right? So if they don't have enough money for them to cover those costs, cover repairs, and make a little bit of money on the backside, the likelihood of them closing is very, very low. There's a lot of other factors to consider here too, like the condition that your property is in. It's nice because investors can buy a home in any condition, but you need to make sure that the condition and the loan or financing or funding they're gonna use also match up. If they're saying they're gonna buy this as a rental, but it needs any kind of major repairs like structural, roof, any kind of drywall repairs or those kinds of things even though they may seem cosmetic, they may not go through and fund and close because the bank will likely reject it. So understanding funding, understanding condition, understanding pricing, and the real sniff test is, are they making money or not? If they're not making money, then it really becomes a no deal and better off not taking that offer to begin with. Number 2 is speed and convenience that an investor can bring you. It's awesome the options that you can have with an investor. A lot of times you can leave stuff behind. They might not need an appraisal contingency because they know they're getting a good deal and they're willing to take that risk to just buy it and know that it will appraise or know that it'll go through. Ultimately, they'll take some risk to make things really easy for you to make a deal that can get through without that. So if you're selling to an investor, it might be worth exploring what contingencies you could have removed out of that contract, making that deal better for you and having a high likelihood of closing. Number 3 is vetting your buyer, understanding who the investor is that's coming to you, and are they serious and are they gonna be able to close on your house? If they're making you a cash offer to buy as is, then it's good to ask for proof of funds. They should be able to send you a bank statement showing they have the money in their account and they are able to close. Now there are times that legitimate investors will use what's called a hard money loan. Essentially lenders that will lend an investment deal because they know it's a good investment deal and they will cash close, which benefit of cash close is they can close really quick, right? So this could be an option, it could be legitimate, but I recommend you call the lender and understand the terms of that loan. If you're not used to terms of hard money, find someone who does know and understand, will this close or not? On the other hand, if you're looking to buy it as a rental, they may often be using a loan called a DSCR loan or debt service coverage ratio loan. And in this case, they're gonna be looking at things like, does it have the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is the market rent above that amount if they put 20 to 25% down. This is a typical loan, right, for a lender on that side of the thing. So if you're getting a loan like that, it's important that you call the lender and understand, hey, lender, how much do you require above those costs there to approve a loan, and make sure that they are valid and they're going to move forward. Otherwise, you might end up moving out of a property, being stuck in a similar situation, the house doesn't sell. Very disappointing. And on the topic of vetting your buyers, we're going to talk about wholesaling and or assignment of contracts. In Texas, I could put a property under contract as a buyer, and then I could take that contract and sell it to another end buyer for a fee. I can add my fee on top of that. You don't have to be a licensed realtor to do that or anything else like that. But the thing is, if you find a wholesaler that gets really excited thinking that they can sell your property to another investor for a fee, and then they realize they did the math wrong, that it's not actually an investment deal, you might be under contract thinking that you're going to sell when in fact there's no end buyer there, there's no cash, and there's no deal. So it's really important that you understand the funding, ask for the cash, ask for the hard money lender, and ultimately make sure that it's not being wholesaled. Now, don't get me wrong, there are wholesalers out there that do a fantastic job and they're very reputable. So it's important to understand who that end buyer is and have just an open conversation if they don't offer up the hard money lender and they don't offer up the cash as proof of funds, to press there and really figure out how is this going to close and when is it going to close. Number 4 is understanding the contract and understanding the contingencies. Contingencies are ways that the buyers can back out. There are lots of different contingencies that can be used, from financing to HOA terms to option period to you name it, right? And they can add many, many more in there with Texas contracts. So it's really important to understand how they can back out, how long is their option period if they have an option period, what are they going to be doing during the option period? Are they going to have it inspected, or are they just needing a contractor to come by and look at a few things and confirm an estimate? Understanding that will go a long ways, and this is a conversation that you have to have with that end buyer. And of course, you need to have a good understanding of the Texas contracts as well. Working with a realtor can be a huge asset there in understanding those contracts. And that brings us to point 5. Working with a professional can help you in many ways, even if you're selling to an investor. Because at the end of the day, knowing and understanding what the true market value is of your home after it's repaired is something that you need data for. You need to be able to see the MLS data, and in Texas, you just don't have access to see what all your neighbors' houses sold for. Are they comparable properties or not? There's a lot of data that a realtor can bring you to understand that value. They can also help you vet the offers coming in from investors, help you read the Texas contracts and understand what they mean and how it could impact you, the timing and the surety of you selling that property. And of course, negotiating terms is key. There are ways where you can make win-win. Maybe you have more dollars that you walk away with, but you put some money towards paying down lender fees and points that they might otherwise pay, letting them borrow at lower rates, borrow at better terms, come to the table with less cash out of their pocket, making that a true win-win that does get you more dollars that you walk away with. But last of all, do not underestimate marketing. Every investor is gonna say, look, there's no money that can be made more on this deal, so on and so forth. No one else can give you a higher price. Get it out there, put it out on the MLS, see if that realtor has other investors that they know that might be able to offer you more money. It doesn't hurt to ask and see what's out there. You can still make a decision pretty quickly. If it's priced right, it will move. If you are considering selling your home to an investor, make sure you work with a professional that understands the investing world, understands the funding and investing world. These are very different and not a common thing for title companies or every realtor to be engaged with. Here at the A-List team, I myself am an investor, my wife's an investor. We help a lot of different investors find rental properties, find flip properties, so on and so forth. So reach out to us if you are considering selling your home. And of course, we're gonna help you get that top dollar, either as an investor or ultimately representing you to get that top dollar for you as a realtor. Again, my name's Aaron White, and I'll see you at the closing table.